Yep. So it's a bit tough to have a lot of energy, of enthusiasm at the moment. How about you, Mike?
It's been a hell of a weekend.
Holy crap, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
So thanks for everyone joining us on the Culture Crusade. And of course, going to be talking about the Bondi mass shooting as the main subject because I have obviously a lot to say. And I've a lot of emotions have obviously passed because with the nature of technology, they were dropping videos as it was happening, and I was awake, seeing like the actual people were posting videos basically because these pieces of crap were able to go on their shooting spree. People are reporting up to like 40 minutes before being stopped. And I wonder why. I wonder why they weren't able to be stopped. And Mike, what tool was used to stop them? Just per chance. Like if I put it out, like you've been following the news, I take it, you know. So what tool was used to stop?
Actually, that's funny. I didn't see that. I recognize that the guy who took the gun away from one of them didn't use that to stop one of them.
We'll talk about it because there's a number of
started shooting again. Oh, okay.
Well, there's a lot to unpack about that. But of course, they were ultimately stopped with guns.
Wait a second. Do your cops not have guns?
Oh, they do, but it seems like
because there were 4 cops on the scene, right?
And there are reports of them either getting shot themselves or ducking for cover out of fear, or I don't know.
Were they all women?
Right angle. There's reports that there were a couple of women.
I saw at least 2, possibly 3. So I was wondering if all 4 of them were women.
But the ultimate takeaway is that one of the only ways to stop bad guys with guns.
Good guys with guns. Yeah.
Good guys with guns.
Let me caveat that.
Shocking that.
Good men with guns.
Good men with guns.
Because, how can you... did nobody call, like, somebody else with a gun? 40 minutes? Seriously? How the hell?
That's the report that it took, they had their, killing spree. Now, there were exchanging of gunfire towards the end. And so I don't know the point when actual resistance came to try and stop these pieces of crap, right? But reports have been saying that they were basically shooting freely for up to 40 minutes.
Yeah, I saw that one guy being interviewed said it was 20 minutes, but
even that's too long. 10 minutes is a lifetime.
He said that the cops were just freaking hiding, and one of them had her hands up, and it's like, what are you doing?
Now, the hands up thing, like there's a lot of context we don't know. The hands up could be other police officers saying, I'm in the line of fire, and other things like that. Like I said, there's a lot to unpack with all of this, and all of it is bloody infuriating. And so I've been times where I've been angry, ranting my own head about the things I want to friggin' say about all this crap. And then at the same time, I just feel so defeated and tired because, Mike, you and I, we've been kind of raising, the alarm bells about what's going on in society for a while now. Okay. And at various different points, we've been talking about the dangers of extreme Islam. Okay. That has come up just, tangentially. And even in response to other terrorist attacks across the world, and how, we respond to talking about, and of course, I've been a complete, advocate for years now about the stupidity of the gun laws in Australia and how they do nothing to stop extremist violence. And all it does is serve to disarm the law-abiding citizen from being able to defend themselves.
Mm-hmm. This would not have happened in Texas.
Or
40 minutes. He might have had 40 seconds.
Might have lasted for a lot shorter.
40 seconds more like than 40 minutes. Actually, I think didn't they try this in Texas once at when they did the Draw Muhammad Day? I remember something like that, where like someone tried to start trouble there, and it was Texas, so it ended like very, very quickly.
But I see Rhino in the chat. Rhino, you're more than free to join us, mate. This hits close to home, of course, and if you want a place to vent, you're more than welcome to, mate. Because I'm so pissed. But at the same time, I feel so defeated about it all, because our politicians are doing nothing. Not even that. They're actively taking measures to make it worse. Our retarded prime minister's response to this is like, oh, you know what will fix it? We'll take away more of Australian rights in their guns so they won't be able to defend themselves when another attack happens. You friggin' retard! That's his response. When it's these policies that have bloody caused half of this crap, not half, most of it. And his response is to actively make it worse and make it harder for Australians to defend themselves. This piece of crap. I'm so close to swearing, Mike. You have no friggin' idea.
Well, you guys folded after the last mass shooting. Well, not you, obviously, but
Thank you.
Australia.
I was 10 years old when it happened.
Right? What was it, 91 or something like that?
Yeah.
It was like one mass shooting. They took away all your gun rights.
And how did that work out? Did it stop gun violence? No.
No, actually, violence against women increased because there was no the great equalizer wasn't there anymore to keep people from.
And if this scumbag couldn't get a hold of a gun, he would have used a car. He would have used knives. He would have used any other, thing that he can get his whole hands on to cause mass casualties. All right? When someone is committed to perform violence, they will friggin' find a way. And so what you have to do is empower the people to protect themselves. Because in the seconds where a travesty happens, where some psychopath wants to come and kill you, and in the seconds that they have to take people's lives, never fear, because the police are 40 friggin' minutes away. Yeah. You can rely on the police to protect you, just like this bloody attack did. Our politicians are retards.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anybody in Australia standing up for gun rights?
A few. They're all the minor independent parties, and unfortunately, they have no political power. That's basically, that's the reality. That's yeah. We have a lot of freedom independent parties that have no power, and they will not get in government in my lifetime because of the way that the preferencing system and the structure is voted.
Are you like on a parliamentary system?
Yeah.
So your party has to take. Is it like England's system where you have to take?
No, not exactly. Not exactly. We have a preference system that if the party you vote for doesn't get in power, your votes then go to the next most popular one based on who they delegate their preferences to go to. And as a result, we get stuck in, and basically all it does is filter everyone's votes to the two major parties. And both of our two major parties are friggin' useless. I mean, the Labor government is culpable for all of this, right? That's the current prime minister that's in power. But our opposition party, the supposed conservative, opposition, absolutely useless. They are Labor light, all right? And because of the system we're in, we basically get locked into two scumbag parties, right? Where we don't have a proper alternative. And look, there are some good ones, but at the moment, like in the independent sphere, but the Liberals are basically no better than Labor at the moment. And One Nation is one of the only ones that has some weight behind them, but I will never see One Nation in as a primary, opposition party in my lifetime. I don't like. So what that means is Australia is screwed. Okay. because even our opposition party, these gutless politicians, right? They cannot even say Islamic extremism. Okay, they can't even say it.
Yeah, this isn't extreme. This is Islam.
We will talk about that, Mike. We're going to talk about that.
I got a video. I'll line it up.
Yeah. Because
that's the problem with people thinking that. It's like,
well, maybe we're going to get into it now. We're just going to go with the flow of what comes up. All right. Because when people hear, you know, Islamic extremism, they think of like a tiny minority, like 1%, right? Or like, no. Islamic extremism is anyone in Islam that supports Sharia law. Because if they support Sharia law, they support beating their wives, they support suppressing women, they support like going on jihad, and they support honor killings, and they support all those things. And you know, like the actual percentage of Muslims that support Sharia law is like
it's like all of them.
It's like over 30%, and that's and I think it's higher now, and that's already a crazy amount, right?
Yeah.
And if they support Sharia law, they support extremism. They are an Islamic extremist, right? And I got a video talk like where they promote this in their mosques about going on a physical jihad, okay? A real world jihad, not a spiritual jihad, because that's the defense. It's like a lot of Muslims say, oh, yes, the Quran teaches jihad, but it's all about an inwards jihad, a jihad in your soul and stuff like that.
It's called taqiyya. That's where they are allowed to lie in order to further Islam. Mm-hmm. Here's the video. Here, just listen to this.
Always can come with the same accusations. This speaker supports death penalty for homosexuals. This speaker supports death penalty for this crime or that. He is homophobic. They subjugate women, etc., etc., etc. It's the same old stuff coming all the time. And we always try to tell them, I always try to tell them that, look, it's not that speaker that we're inviting who has these extreme radical views, as you say. These are general views that every Muslim actually has. Every Muslim believes in these things. Just because they're not telling you about it, or just because they're not out there in the media, doesn't mean they don't believe in them. So I will ask you, everyone in the room, how many of you are normal Muslims? You're not extremists, you're not radical, just normal Sunni Muslims. Please raise your hands. Everybody, mashallah, subhanallah. Okay, take down your hands again. How many of you agree that the punishments described in the Quran and the Sunnah, whether it is death, whether it is stoning for adultery, whatever it is, if it is from Allah and His Messenger, that is the best punishment ever possible for humankind, and that is what we should apply in the world. Who agrees with that?
There it is.
Allahu Akbar. Are you all radical extremists? SubhanAllah.
They're smiling.
Right.
So all of you are saying that you are common Muslims. You all go to the different massages,
like
or is it? Are you like a specific sect? Like
that's all it is. It's Islam. And either, like he said it himself, maybe they don't tell you, maybe we don't talk about it, but we all believe it.
Yeah. Where's this other video I have about this guy just being open about, oh no, like you should actually, do a full-blown real-world jihad. That will please God more than not doing that. And a real-world jihad, you know what that means? That means exactly what happened at Bondi Beach.
Yeah,
right?
Everywhere, every one of them. Let me. I came up with this formulation a long time ago, and I've asked different Muslims to tell me if I'm wrong, and no one has ever told me I was wrong. So Islam breaks down into three categories. You have pre-Mahdi. Not pre-Mahdi. I guess it's like pre-Mahdi. You know what the Mahdi is, right?
I know. What is it?
The Mahdi is their Messiah, right? So when their Mahdi comes, they're all supposed to fall in line and follow the Mahdi and follow all of the teachings. So you've got pre-Mahdi Muslims who are like they call radicals, who are trying to force the world to reveal the Mahdi, right? Then you've got post-Mahdi Muslims who they're like just waiting for the Mahdi to show up so that they can go behead all the Jews and all the Christians and all that stuff. And then you have your cultural Muslims who are, we're raised here, we just do the thing, but they don't really have a lot of faith. When the Mahdi shows up, and in the Bible we have another name for him, he's called the Antichrist. And he does the same things that the Antichrist does. So he was cribbed from the Bible. So he is coming. But when he shows up, your pre-Mahdis, your post-Mahdis, and your cultural Muslims are all going to fall into line, and you're going to have yourself 2 billion terrorists on this planet.
Well, listen to this guy here. Listen to him just, encouraging.
We can't take away from the fact, first and foremost, that jihad is definitely part of our deen. And as Muslims, we should never, ever shy away from this.
Never shy away from jihad.
And yes, there may be.
This is what is preached in Australia, okay? This is an Australian Muslim. You can hear by his accent.
Types of jihad, but of the peak of this jihad is that which the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke about, and I'll read the hadith soon. And that is fighting in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal.
Fighting.
A physical fight.
Physical fight. What is he meaning by that?
Not the fighting of the nafs. Although your nafs is needed in order for your physical to go out in the path of Allah. So we're not talking about the struggle of the nafs, we're talking about the physical jihad, the physical struggling against the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to make the word of Allah Azza wa Jal the highest.
Spread the word of Allah through force, okay? Physical violence, right? It's
what they've done for 1,500 years.
This should be illegal, right?
Uh-huh.
This goes beyond freedom of religion. This is an active call to spread religion via violence, okay? That their religion will be pushed to the top through waging jihad, right? And so when Muslims hear this, they are being told what to do. Like these scumbags that did this shooting, they were following these teachings, okay? Yep. So active calls of violence should be made illegal, right? And anyone promoting it, deported, flat. But our gutless politicians, they will never have even the slightest bit of backbone to actually admit where the problem is coming from. And it's right here, black and white. They're out in the open about it. And I think they're just laughing at us at this point because they're so blatant and nothing is being done.
Dude. Totally freaking laughing at us because we're inviting them in. Yeah. Right? This is so funny. We fought 400 years of crusades to stop this from happening, and now we're just opening up the gates and letting them in. It's the same freaking religion. They're doing the same thing. Did you know that before the population of planet Earth reached 1 billion people, Islam, through the sword, had murdered 240 million people?
I don't know that.
The scale.
I would want it confirmed. I did
that research myself. I didn't get that from anybody else. Those are the numbers. Islam is worse than communism. Well, except communism did it all in a 100-year span.
Much shorter period of time.
Yeah. But
communism is pretty not effective when they get in power, Mike.
Right. But see, it's a weird thing because in World War I, the Ottomans sided with Germany. And when they got trounced, they got
it. Sorry, it's already illegal. Yeah, and our government's doing nothing. They're just letting it go. Sorry, keep going, Mike.
Yeah, I was just saying, like in 1918, when we divided up, or for England and Europe divided up the Ottoman Empire into these little states, and they put their own little, strongmen in to control them. I mean, that was great, but it softened the legitimate Islamophobia that everyone should have right? Because it dociled Islam for about 100 years. And during that time, we kind of like, oh yeah, they're not that bad. They're not, yeah, let them in. In Europe, it's like, hey, we'll let them be our labor force and overpower us with and that. So instead of like fighting to keep them from taking over, they're doing this subversive jihad where they're just, oh, look at me, I am a poor refugee, please let me stay in your country. And then over time they collect there and they metastasize and then they take over. You can't even go to Dearborn, Michigan now. You can't go to huge parts of France and England.
One of the shooters was born in Australia. His dad wasn't. His dad came over and is an immigrant, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But they radicalized the son in the ideology to the point where willing to go on a mass shooting. And guarantee all the groups of Muslims at mosques like this, right, who are preaching that you need to go on a physical Islam and that is more pleasing to God than not, they think these pieces of craps are heroes.
Yep.
That they're going to heaven for what they did. No joke.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says to, which means not equal are those believers remaining at home other than the disabled and the mujahideen who strive and fight in the cause of Allah with their wealth and their lives. Allah has preferred the mujahideen through their wealth and their lives. And for those who remain behind by degrees.
So he's actually, I don't know what he's quoting from here. It's not the Quran, but it's one of their, more official texts, right?
Hadith.
And he's saying that it is more preferable that people go out and commit their money and their lives, right, to the cause of the spreading of Islam, and is going to talk about that as violence.
And to both Allah has promised the best reward. But Allah has preferred the mujahideen over those who remain with a great reward. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the worlds, the creator of everything, is telling us who he prefers. And Allah Azza wa Jal prefers those who go out and fight in his path, and he prefers them over those who sit idle.
Prefers those that go out and fight, and physically fight in the real world.
So their rank with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greater than us who are sitting idle. Or in that case, anyone who is sitting idle. Their status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is different than those who are sitting. Although there is also good in those who are sitting.
So support the ones that are going out and, spreading it through violence.
Each of them has the reward. But Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying that he has preferred those who go out in his path, in jihad fi sabilillah, he's preferred them above those who sit idle.
There you go. They're blatant about it. They're blatant about it.
Are you aware that in Islam, in the Quran, there is only one guarantor to get to heaven, to paradise?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it's, if I can quote it correctly, it's by the first drop of the martyr's blood. You get to heaven, and you get to take 70 of your family members with you. Can you imagine? I mean, that's the only way. There's no salvation. There's no, I know I'm saved. There's no, no other guarantee in Islam than you die in jihad as a martyr, killing Jews, Christians, whoever. That's why it's so easy for them to recruit young men like this guy's son, right? They probably wanted to be murdered, or not murdered, but killed in the process of killing Jews, because to them, that's jihad. And then on top of that, that's why you see videos, right? You see videos of mothers in Islamic countries, Palestine, Iran, whatever, cheering when their children kill themselves in jihad, or even saying that I hope my children, become suicide bombers. This kind of stuff. They love, and they even say it. There's one of their chants over there is, "We will win because we love death more than you love life." It is satanic. And the only good Muslim, I'm not going to say the only good Muslim is dead Muslim. The only good Muslim is a bad Muslim.
One that doesn't take their religion seriously. Right. I was literally going to...
Which is that dude.
That was my next point.
The hero of this situation,
the hero
was a bad Muslim.
Because I have met heaps, hundreds of great Muslims, really friendly people. And you know the common denominator between them all?
They're bad Muslims.
They didn't take their religion seriously. That was the common denominator. Because the more they take their religion seriously, like the actual, holy word of the Quran, the more extreme they become.
Right.
Because when you go to the black and white text of what it is saying, there's very little room for interpretation about what it's saying. Right. That's what preachers like that idiot that we just showed before, right? Promoting violence. He was like going to the sacred texts saying, guess what? This is what it's saying. It's saying spread our religion through violence. And that is more pleasing unto God. Right? And so that is the fundamental incompatibility of that religion and civilized society. That right? Black and white. That is right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's funny is even when they don't have infidels to kill, they just kill each other.
Let them do it in their own countries. Stop bringing them over to Australia so these extremist psychopaths can kill us and then get praised by Allah and go get that free ticket to heaven in their mind, right? And especially targeting, of course, the Jews.
IMOX in the thing says, F this channel spreading lies about Islam. Tell me one thing we've lied about.
Yeah. And look,
good luck.
I've met many good Muslims. Okay, really friendly, nice people.
No. Good people, bad Muslims. That's the.
But have a look at what the actual text of the religion is saying and what is being spread. And by the way, if this is a good Muslim, right? What are you doing to try and police your own community? Are you going out?
You wouldn't even shoot the other guy, probably because he was a Muslim.
No. I think there were other reasons. But no.
Two in the front of the head.
There is. Okay. I have not seen even a smidge of enough condemnation from the Islamic community over this attack. Right?
No, what's the freaking thing, dude? Hold on, let me.
But on the reverse, I've been seeing
me nuts, dude. This is what's driving me nuts. All over Twitter, everything is about what a great heroic Muslim this one guy was. Nobody's talking about who did all the killing. It's all about, this one who, again, was a bad Muslim because he was stopping the Muslims from committing jihad. That's the news. Look, a good Muslim. Actually, I guess that is news, right?
I've heard doubt that there's even a Muslim, so I don't even know.
No, I looked into all that. That's his parents are Muslim. He says when he's speaking in whatever Farsi or Arabic, whatever he's talking, he's saying Allah, which I know that does mean God, but
I don't know. I'll wait until he makes a statement on it or more information comes.
Yeah, the stuff about him being some sort of a Christian, that's all that came from Reddit.
Or that's reliable.
Yeah, so
look, we don't know at this point, but look, he's a hero, no doubt. The guy's a legend. But we'll speak more about his disarming and stuff like that. We need to finish this point because everything I would talk about is even if you disagree with us that this is a larger problem within Islam than what you think it is, and I think it's much larger than what most people assume. I think a lot of this is actually baked into their text, and the more that they take their text seriously, word for word, the more extreme that they become, because it's right. And this is preached. Like we've literally shown black and white evidence that this is preached in many mosques. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
One is too much. It's
standard operating procedure.
Okay. And this extremism starts right there. Okay. And so even if, you want to quibble about the size of the issue, you have to admit that this is the issue, is it not? The extremist Islamic rhetoric and ideology is what has caused these psychopaths to do what they did, to target Jews specifically, but they were shooting just random because guess what? They hate the West, Christian nations, right? almost as much as the Jews. And so they don't
Yeah,
mind.
but it was Hanukkah, dude. It was freaking Hanukkah celebration.
You know that this was specifically
Yeah.
targeted.
And then I saw another video of like in Denmark or was it UK? I think it was Denmark. Like the Muslims all went to the Christian celebration with their freaking Syrian flags or whatever, trying to like show it's like, no, we take over. It's like, bro, get out. Go back to the Middle East. Go back to whatever. Like you said, let them kill each other, but freaking the fact that we're importing this nightmare, it is our own fault. And yeah,
the politicians won't even say the word extremist Islam, right? That they're avoiding it like the plague, because that would be racist in their mind, even though it's not a race, it's an ideology and religion, right? But no, and so this is where this suicidal empathy kind of thing comes in. It's like, all right, we need to import all these, refugees from Iran, right? And it's like, okay, these are people that support what type of government? Oh, a government that is run by Hamas, a terrorist organization. Let's bring them all the way over here to our country, right?
Sounds like a plan.
What do you think that is going to lead to, you idiots, right? But we need to be, it's the suicidal empathy thing. And it's like, how dare you even point this out? You're a racist. And so that makes them avoid the true issues like the plague. And so this is just so infuriating. You want to see who our prime minister blamed? Like in terms of blaming groups, like identifiable groups or anything. Who do you think he blamed, or at the very least indicated that is more culpable for this than not? Do you want to guess who?
Trump?
No. Close, right?
He's muted.
Oh, is he muted? Let me reshare it then.
The Jews. I love that conspiracy theory. That the Jews somehow convinced a Muslim to shoot up a bunch of Jews.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Shad's advice very seriously. We work closely with them. We receive regular updates as well. The Director General of Asia has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well.
Right-wing extremist groups. That's who he wants to put the target on after a tragedy like this. And by the way, anti-Semitism, okay, you know why they love to use that word, okay? Because they can deflect that this was a massively big problem with extremist Islam, and it means that they can cast a broader net to try and include the far right as well, the anti-Semitism, like everything. So that's the word that they're using in lieu of the actual cause of the issue. They're saying, oh, it's just anti-Semitism is the problem. Really? Because it wasn't just Jews that got shot at. There were people who were just on the beach, okay? And there's a lot of extremist Islamic terrorist attacks that are just targeted towards people, not just Jews, all right? But that's they're so deathly afraid of actually saying what the real problem is, that's deflecting. And then our scumbag prime minister wants to say
is anti-Semitic.
I don't know the extent or the levels.
Oh yeah, man! In the Quran, it's one of the things when the Mahdi comes, it says the very stones will cry. Oh, is it the stones of the trees? The stones of the trees will cry out, "Come, O Muslim! There is a Jew hiding behind me. Come and strike off his head."
I think I've heard that quote before, actually.
Yeah.
Now that you say it, again, when you go into the text of what they're saying, what do their holy, text teach them to do? Okay.
Yes.
And so our prime minister deflects and tries to say, oh, the real problem in the world is extreme right, right-wing extremism. That's his thing. What a piece of crap. Okay. What a slimy piece of crap, right? Mm-hmm. That is going to ignore the actual problem and then continue to vilify the side that is like right-wing extremism. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing, the scales are nowhere near the same, right? I see most of the violence, political violence, seems to come from the left. And who is the political side that really supports immigration and, what's that? Palestine, right? The actual Hamas terrorism? Which side is supporting that?
Curious, which side are all of the Muslim politicians on?
That's an interesting thing, isn't that? Like, because you're right.
They're on the left.
That one is.
Right.
That interesting?
Because that is another part of like there's another word. Like I said, taqiyya is the word for like being able to lie to progress Islam. It's not so much that, but there's another particular word that it's like you get in there and you support the people who are going to make it easier for Islam to take over. And so they would never support the right, even though like on like individual political issues, they would be very considered conservative or right wing. They still support the left because they know once the left is in power, they encourage Muslims to immigrate into the country.
Oh yeah, and by the way, like they will wage their jihad on the left as well, just as much once they've. Oh yeah,
they're useful idiots, just like in communism. The left is always the useful idiot of the evil paradigm.
Right, and so when we say this stuff has been out in the open, okay, you might recognize this location. Okay, this is the Sydney Opera House, and this is a pro-Palestine rally. And do you want to hear what they're saying? I might actually get pinged by what they share. Like YouTube might take down the stream, but you can see the text.
Yeah,
they are chanting that. They are chanting that.
Probably just skip through the thing and see and read what they're saying.
Look, I'm going to risk it because they are chanting it, right? That's it. That's right there, right?
Well, you know what? This is why the Muslims fought for Hitler in World War II, because they liked that. Yeah, they did.
Not, like, look, I don't. Again,
this is all fat, bro. I've been studying this for a long time.
Because I don't know. Like, I would guess there were still Muslims fighting on the other side, but I don't know the scales or anything like that. That's something I haven't looked into. But this is out in the open, and what did our governments do? They endorsed the Palestinian state, our Australian government, the Labor Party, our Prime Minister, right? And this is happening on our back door all through Australia, massive pro-Palestine rallies with sentiments like this, okay? When you know what the appropriate response is? When people are actively advocating for the genocide of an entire group of people, at the very minimum, you should deport every single one of these psychopaths. At minimum. Let alone charging them for the crime that what they're actually advocating. And instead, not only are they ignored, our government supports it. Holy crap. It's unbelievable. It is actually unbelievable. And I can't even keep that up. But it just goes on and on. And this is not the only instance of blatant calls for genocide.
Mm-hmm.
And what the left does is protect these, our governments give more protection to these protests and rallies, right, than the freedom rallies on the right. When the freedom rallies come in, oh crap, the police really come down hard on those. And then they praise themselves. Yeah, we've instituted laws to give police more powers to suppress violent, protests and stuff like that. Except if they're protests on the left, like these Free Palestine protests with sentiments of gas the Jews, right? They get given a free pass because, they might be considered racist if they oppose it. They're gutless cowards and actual traitors to this country. These politicians, no joke, should be charged for treason, what they're doing to Australia. I can't believe it. And it is only going to get worse.
Yep.
Yeah, as Rhino says, they call the Australian freedom rallies Nazi rallies. No joke, right? It is disgusting what is going on. And unfortunately, this is the tragedy of it all. It's going to get worse. Our government, like these scumbag extremist governments, are the ones in power, and their response to the tragedy is to take away more of the rights of innocent, law-abiding citizens. Restrict our ability to defend ourselves even more, and they're actively, right now, in real time, playing defense for the actual cause of the issue. They're playing defense for the extremist Islamic ideology and groups of people, and that is only going to make it worse. And they will ramp like immigration. Keep it going. Keep those doors open.
Say that they're probably
bring in more people, right, from these countries that hate our guts and want to kill us. Right, open those doors to them. Bring them all on in. And I'm not saying every immigrant, okay, but
no. But you know, they
even if like 1% is extreme, it's like, no, you're putting the country at too much of a risk, and it causes so many other issues apart from potential violence, extremism, just economic issues, that we don't have the houses for all these immigrants that you're bringing in. They are screwing the economy, making the cost of living skyrocket, making it impossible for people to buy a house, let alone rent. They are screwing this country so drastically. Sorry, Mike, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying, I don't think it had much to do with what you were saying, but for some reason you brought it up earlier about how much they hate the West more than they hate Israel. They call America the Great Satan. They call Israel the Little Satan.
And it's blatant. It's out in the open.
Yeah,
you can see that the actual clips of them saying crap like this, and they just like, oh no, extremist Islamic, that's not an issue at all, and you're a racist here because not all Muslims, right? And like I said, I've met heaps of great Muslims, but the issue is that the more seriously they take their religion, the more extreme that they become. That's the unfortunate reality when you look at the text of what is being taught. And so, no joke, if you're bringing, anyone from any kind of Islamic country, that one of the questions should be, do you support Sharia law? And right. But the thing, though, a lot will lie. And so you know what they should do then? They should give them this is Stephen Crowder suggested. And look, I think it has some merit. Give them a piece of paper and a pencil and to ask them to draw Muhammad. You're laughing because why are you laughing there, Mike? Why is that? Why would
wouldn't it be better to just give them a piece of bacon and say, you must eat this?
Because if they take their religion so seriously, right, to not draw Muhammad or not eat bacon or anything like that, that is almost guaranteed that they support Sharia law then. Yeah. Okay. And follow the rabbit hole down. What does that mean? Okay. Like, it is suicidal to bring in people that support Sharia law, which has baked in it advocacy for jihad, spread religion through violence, honor killings, beating women, wives, right? Like, Sharia law is vile and evil. And if they support it, they should not be allowed in the country. And it should be easy enough to find the groups of people that support it and deport them, because it all leads to really bad stuff.
It's literally all of them.
Look, I don't know the extent, or like I said, I've met a lot of Muslims.
I might have mentioned this before, but this is another thing that you probably weren't paying attention to. In Canada, is either Canada or somewhere high North America, like decades ago, there was this nice normal, westernized Muslim couple who they were upset. I think maybe this was after 9/11. They were upset with all the like negative portrayals of Muslims and stuff. And so what they did was they started a TV station. And the point of the TV station was to portray Muslims as just normal Western, right? People we're blending in, we're being we have try our hummus, whatever. And so they were doing this for a while. And then at some point the wife
Yeah, I think I know this one.
Yeah,
where...
she filed for divorce. So the good Western, moderate Muslim beheaded her.
There was this case where a young woman was raised
beheaded
Muslim.
her.
Another case, a young woman raised Muslim. She ended up dating someone outside of the religion, and she made like a video, TikTok or something without wearing a hijab.
Mm-hmm.
Her father and brother lured her.
This is just recently. This is like 2 weeks ago,
and killed her.
Yeah,
honor killed her.
Yeah, honor killings are just common. That's Sharia law. You if you're a woman. See, here's the thing: if you're a man, you're allowed to date a Christian woman. But if you're a woman, if you try to date a Christian man, your parents will kill you. Sharia, and they all believe in it. They do, to one degree or another. They all believe in it.
And so, here is an example of to one degree or another. Okay, the mother of the scumbag that did this, right? What did she call her boy?
Probably a good son.
She called him a good boy.
Good boy. There you go.
Came out and called her son a good boy, saying that he didn't drink or smoke, went to work, and then came home, right? Good boy. After doing this, right?
All right.
There's okay. So I see you right now. I'll see if I'll.
Hopefully these aren't videos of them stoning women for showing an ankle in Iran.
Let's see some of these because Rano is.
Oh yeah, then I posted another thing. Is like these Syrian Muslims went over to what country was it? And they were gang raping little kids, and they said it was just part of their culture. And I'm like, I just posted, if this is their culture should be wiped off the face of the planet. Also, there's another weird thing, and I vetted all this stuff I'm saying. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't know if it's every Muslim, but I know in some Muslim countries, they don't think if you do things with little boys, it counts as losing your virginity. So it's so disgusting. So they do that, and there's a name for what they call those boys, but it's just normalized culture so that they can say that they're virgins when they get married.
So
the deeper you go down this rabbit hole, the more you realize how completely incompatible Islam and Western culture are.
So some of our reporters have actually been trying to call out some of this stuff. One of the better places that actually, leans conservative in terms of news is Sky News Australia, not Sky News, not Sky News UK, Sky News Australia.
Yeah.
Sky News in the UK is a woke dumpster fest, but Sky News in Australia is surprisingly based. And so this is one of the blokes on there. Rhino sent me this one, so I haven't seen it yet. But let's see what he says.
Great.
And I got a couple of my own to share as well.
Blood on your hands, Tony Burke.
Yes. So he's just walking out now. So everyone is yelling.
So Tony Burke is one of the politicians that, to my understanding, really supports, Palestine, and So, and there's another lady as well, politician who,
Shame on you, Tony Burke. He has just paid his respects, and now he's leaving.
Blood on your hands, Tony Burke.
Shame, Tony Burke. Shame.
Shame on you.
And I bet that these are the politicians who really support all this immigration and stuff. But I don't know the full context of that one. But here's this other one. Here's this other lady. Yeah, I've seen this one. So let me bring this up. So Marine Farik. I seen one of the videos where she's insanely woke, you know, and the most left-leaning kind of politician you can imagine, basically. And so let me share this one. So just Rhino has what he wants to us to really see this one, so we'll get to. Oh well, I'll check it out, Rhino. But listen to this.
Marks in here from Sky News. Haven't you only fueled the anti-Semitism crisis by your aggressive rhetoric over the past 2 years?
We're here today to mourn
Complete deflection, because she knows it's true.
all those who have been unforgivably killed.
And so these politicians that fuel this crap, right, taking no accountability, and they won't change either, by the way. Give this 2 weeks and they'll be back to the exact same rhetoric and bullcrap that they've been spitting the entire time.
We are here mourning and giving respect to the community.
You have been at pro-Palestinian protests where they have called for the Intifada. You have been at pro-Palestinian protests where there have been calls for Intifada.
Good on you, Sky News, for calling this scumbag out. Well done. Well done. Like, very few Australian outlets are willing to try and hold these scumbag politicians to the fire. And listen to that. So she's been to these Palestinian protests, like rallies, right? Where they advocate for violence against Jews. She has attended them and supported them.
And death to the IDF. How does this lead to anything else other than the terror attack that we saw here last night?
We are here today
Complete deflection. What a cowardly scumbag.
to give respect.
Do you regret being at those pro-Palestinian protests that have only fueled anti-Semitism?
Today is about heart and humanity.
And, you know, like, she is so, like, because I bet she's Muslim as well. Look, I don't want to say anything, get me in trouble. And I probably already have, right? But I'll hold back. But let me just say this. I wonder what she really thinks on the inside. You know, how much of a devout, advocate and supporter of Islam is she? And how much does she hate Israel? And how much does she support Palestine? I wonder to what level what she really thinks inside. Because all this is all just performative, right? All she is, trying to deflect and embarrassed by how bad she looks right now.
For those who have lost their loved ones, for those who have been injured by this.
Are you surprised? You can't possibly be surprised that your actions have been among those that have led to this. Would you like to apologize to the Jewish community?
I am here to provide support to the Jewish community and everyone else.
Would you like to apologize?
Who has suffered.
Good. I want to know this reporter's name. Well done, Sky News Australia. Sky News Australia.
Suffered what has happened here yesterday. That's what I'm here for.
Hey, what's ridiculous?
The day is a day for grieving, not for politics.
We shouldn't.
Oh, really? Not for politics? What is our Prime Minister doing, you stupid idiots? Right? This deflection, performative, I don't know, we just have to worry about the victims, really, because our Prime Minister is out there trying to deflect this to right-wing extremism and to take away more of Australian rights. Oh, but how dare you politicize this? It was your politics that led to this crap. So, of course, we're going to friggin' hold you to account, you scumbags. I can't stand these politicians. Friggin' can't stand him, man. Thank you for sharing the clip, Rhino. It's making me angry. But look, these are similar clips that I have as well. So I'm going to jump to this one. Because Rhino wants us to share this. And unfortunately, Rhino can't join us because he's at work, is saying. And so, but he would if he could.
But he can't, so we won't.
Oh, so Rhino's saying he wants us to finish the one that we were just sharing. All right, I'm I wish you could join us, man. So that's this one. Oh, so she gets stuck in the... What the hell? What the freaking hell?
What?
they're saying there's no audio now.
Yeah.
Well, like wait until you guys hear it. Wait until you guys friggin' hear this. This is unbelievable. Tell me if it's got audio.
You have stood at pro-Palestinian protests where there have been calls for death to their
It's got nothing to do with anti-Semitism at all.
Nothing to do with it. I can't friggin' this. Like these pieces of crap. These absolute I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Name and shame this guy. This is despicable. This is absolutely despicable. I cannot believe anyone would have the friggin' gall to say this with a smile on his scumbag face. It's like an attack that's at a Jewish community
on Hanukkah.
It's nothing to do with anti-Semitism. This is the type of evil that leads this. This is the deflection tactic. The gaslighting says, no, there's no problem at all here, right? We're not to blame for fueling the hatred, the violent rhetoric, right? Where people are literally calling for genocide, going to the rallies, doing all this. Our politicians, like these politicians, right, are doing that. And then it's like, no problem here. We've done nothing wrong. Traitors, absolute traitors. They should be friggin' put on trial. And you know, the infuriating thing, they're going to get away with it. None of these politicians are going to receive the justice they deserve for this, right? I can't friggin' believe that. Holy crap.
Jordy in the chat says, it was just a coincidence Jews were just gathered together on Bondi, huh? Pathetic. Yeah, it wasn't a Hanukkah celebration or anything at all. They just all happen to be Jews.
Just happened to be
Jews and friends of Jews.
I'm actually speechless that guy would have the gall to say this has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. I cannot believe it. And by the way, that sentiment, I bet, is or that type of deflection and gaslighting is prevalent on that political side. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Gosh, I can't friggin' believe this crap. This, and so, yeah, she's one of the politicians that have actively supported this. Actively supported it. Now, and look, there's more. We'll get to other things. Let me quickly catch up with some of these super chats. Ralia Audio for 10 says that rifle on the wall of the laborer's cottage or working class flat is the symbol of democracy. It is our job to see it stays there. George Orwell, 1984. Well said. Well said. Yep. Yeah. The answer is empower Australians to protect themselves, because we obviously can't rely on the police or the government to protect us. The government and the active are the ones that are actually causing the issue, right? And accelerating it. Because this is what I was going to say. When I was saying this isn't going to get better, it's going to get worse. Okay. All right. So mark my words. There's going to be another terrorist attack within a year from the exact same thing in Australia. Okay, this is only going to accelerate. And if the policies don't change and the same types of people remain in power where they are, there will be another one, because they are only encouraging this and they're doing nothing to stop it. That's where we're friggin' at. Okay. And look, I love Australia. I love this country. Okay, I hate our government. I friggin' despise our government. But there are some good politicians, right? I'm just like depressed that none of the good politicians will be able to change anything because of the system that we're in at the moment. Okay. And so I don't see us anything getting better for a long while now. And, you know, everyone says, you know, come to America, ban Australia. I don't think I ever could. Okay. I do have a sense of national loyalty to my country and Australia. I don't know what I can do to try and change things. I raise my voice. This is what I'm doing. Okay. It's all we can really do at this point. I only have so much time and energy, but I'm doing what I can. Okay. And outside of that, I got to weather the storm. Okay. And I'm taking active measures to try and, build safety and security for my family and try and get through this. But it might be a long time because.
Yeah, we're getting invaded here too. So I don't know.
Wait, who are the idiots in chat trying to?
No. I'm saying America.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said the chat was getting invaded. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. And so,
honestly, if Western, I mean, we're just being redundant, but if Western civilization had if we weren't, like you were saying, suicidal, we would absolutely just ban Islam. This is it's totally incompatible.
See, I don't even go that far, but people will probably hold my stance extreme, where I say if they support Sharia law, that's an incompatible, ideology with freedom in Western countries, okay? And they should not be allowed in. And I'm always at a point where to support people who support Sharia law, because that's where it goes to. And the sad reality is, right, Australians will not wake up. That's proof. Look at all the Australians trying to deflect and deny the actual problem, the cause of all the problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many Aussies are just trying to close their eyes, and because they're too afraid of being shamed by people on the left and being called out as racist and all that stuff, right? And so they're casting a blind eye to the real cause of the problem, fueled by our Prime Minister. As a result, unfortunately, and I it has to get so much worse before Australians wake up, and that's a tragedy. That is a tragedy, and I wonder how much worse, because we're not as bad as the UK, right? We don't have
yet.
Well, that's the unfortunate thing, because the UK is starting to wake up due to some of the most horrifically vile atrocities you can imagine. Like if people really,
but it's waking up too late. How many? What
too late? Yeah, exactly.
Population?
How many young girls have been violated in the UK because the police forces were trying to suppress and hide the fact because they were afraid of being racist?
Right.
Okay. Right.
Hey, what's the safest country in Europe?
Which one is it, Mike? You tell me.
It's Poland.
Poland. Why is that? Why is Poland so safe?
Well, it might have something to do with the fact that they don't allow Muslims in.
Odd.
So it's just a carpet ban. You can't. There's no Islam in Poland.
And so I don't know the true depths and extents of the grooming gang scandal in the UK. I listened to the Lotus Eaters and Carl Benjamin stuff, and and some of the stuff that even he shares, and he tries to avoid being explicit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Makes me sick to my core about what's going on over there. It is horrific beyond imagining. Okay. And that's waking a lot of people up in the UK. All right. It hasn't gotten bad enough here in Australia to wake up Australians. I mean, it should be it's all out in the open. We should wake up and see what's going on. But our scumbag politicians and mainstream media, and it's a depressing amount of people in Australia, especially older class of people, just rely on the mainstream media news outlets, right? The only one that has a suck on them is Sky News Australia, but they rarely get onto mainstream news. The mainstream news networks like 7, 10, ABC, Channel 9, and everything like that, it is nearly all of it is captured by left-wing rhetoric, okay? And so Australians on a whole, there's a reason why Victoria, Australia has re-elected the most extreme left-wing politicians around, and consistently they're the ones in power, right? They actually have a almost capture of the narrative here in Australia, and people trying to voice the alternate opinion, get drowned out. The proof is COVID. The crap they got away with COVID because they were able to control the narrative is unbelievable, right? And if that didn't wake up Australians, what the hell will? And that's why it has to get so much worse for them to wake up. And I don't want it to, but it will. That's the tragedy of this. It is going to get worse, and it's going to be horrific. And my heart breaks for what is going to happen in the future, because our politicians are just accelerating and pushing us further towards that cliff when it's so obvious. And so all I can do is raise my voice and then try and weather the storm.
This Lucy Mao, whatever, says, nevertheless, Europe is doomed and will not be anymore in 30 years. It is so funny that it's 2025 and she brings up 30 years. In 1996 or 97, there was a study based purely on population growth that because even all the way back then in the 90s, mid 90s, native born Europeans were not repopulating. They were like 1.2 per couple, whatever. Meanwhile, the Muslim immigrants were repopulating at 8 children per couple, right? And just by the math of repopulation of the population back then, which doesn't even account for the immigration that's happened since then, they said that by 2050, Europe would be a majority Muslim country just through birth. I mean, not country, a freaking continent. Again, we fought 400 years of crusades to stop this from happening, people. Bring them back.
Now, like, here is one person calling out, you know, some of the media and stuff, but they deserve much harsher language. But at least someone is you know, calling them a bit out. So there's this.
How are we feeling? Is this what you wanted? Is this enough now? Will you listen to us?
Now, what she means by this, right, is all the left-wing rhetoric, okay, about bringing in more immigrants and how dare you criticize extremist Islam, that just makes you a racist and all that stuff. All the rhetoric are on the right? That's what she means by that. This is, you got what you wanted. This is what it's led to, basically.
Albanese, Wong, will you listen to us? Will you actually do something? Will you actually... don't have to stand up and say anything because we don't believe you anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They've shown their colors, right? Like, what their reaction is, is like the politicians' reaction is the worst that they could do, where they just deflect and then blame, guns are the problem. We'll take away more guns from Australians, law-abiding citizens, right? Worst reaction that they could, but the thing is, though, we know their colors, we know who they are. They've shown it by years upon years, and so if they even if they came out and said that things that we wanted to hear, what reason do we have to believe them at this point? Show me by their actions.
And ABC, I've got to say,
ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Association, is the friggin' worst. It is just woke insanity, like congealed and condensed into its purest form. That's the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and we pay for it. The taxpayers pay for that crap. Okay.
Will you cut out the biased reporting?
No, that won't.
Mainstream media, we feel will you cut it out? Will you actually let us have a voice? Because we feel that part of the reason that the Jewish people have.
And look, this is on the ABC. They might ping me for copyright. They are jerks. So, but at least, you know, like, she's being very polite about it, but calling him to task because it's just ridiculous. Going to try and catch up to some of those super chats, and then we'll see how we go. Because there's more I want to unpack about this. I can't pronounce the name. Thank you. Says, Islam is compatible with any Western nation. It has not gone through similar religious reforms that Christianity has. This means Muslim culture has never had an enlightenment period. When you you go down to the text of what the text is teaching. Okay, that's the fun. Like, there are fundamental issues, and unless they denounce like core books of scripture that they have, I don't see how they could reform from it. That's the issue.
They can't reform. Again, this is the this has a lot to do with us dumbing down Islam for the last 100 years. the previous 1400 years was just Islam conquering people, putting them to the sword if they wouldn't convert, or taxing them if they chose to stay living in that area. It's called the jizya tax. So here's your options. The horde of Muslims comes to your town, kills all your warriors, and then tells you, okay, you can convert to Islam, or you can pay us 15% of everything you make for the rest of your lives. So a lot of people are just going to be like, I don't want to move. Right? So and I don't want to pay the tax. So they convert to Islam, or they die, or they leave. Right? So Islam, that's all they did for 1400 years. Do you look at the global map and look how many Islamic countries there are? They didn't do that through martyrdom or through charity. They did that through the tip of the sword. And yes, they've been chilled for the last 100 years, and they're changing the tactic to immigration and refugee status and all of that stuff. But it is still invasion. See ya. And they aren't changing their minds about anything in the Quran or the Hadiths. They believe.
You can ask them, like, if people doubt us, sit down with a Muslim and ask them about, how, like, do they take the words of their scripture seriously? Okay. Yeah. And if they don't, well, they're usually not nice people. Like, I met so many nice Muslims, especially as a missionary, right? And because I served my mission in Sydney North area of Australia. Okay. Very multicultural area. A lot of people from all, backgrounds and stuff. Australia has been like that for a while. Okay. And I met a lot of chilled, really nice Muslims, but the extremism is getting so much worse. And it seems like because we have mosques preaching really evil stuff, really extreme stuff. Like we showed some examples, go on a violent real world jihad, right? That leads to what happened on Bondi Beach. Bombus for $5 says Islam is the worst thing humanity has ever done. Look, I wouldn't go that far. I think humanity has done some really bad things. All right. But I am pointing out the incompatible aspects of this religion and how like it can lead to this. And no politician is pointing out. Well, sorry. No, our mainstream politicians, like they're deathly afraid. Even the opposition party, we're not saying that extremist Islam is a problem. They just say it's anti-Semitism is the problem. Okay. I'm seeing most anti-Semitism come from a certain, side. I'm not saying it doesn't exist on both sides. I'm saying where is most of it coming from? Ray Gonzalez, $5 says, rest in peace to the victims. May they find their way to the Lord's embrace. I'm so sorry this happened in your country. It's heartbreaking, man. 10-year-old girl. 10-year-old girl.
And he saw that 10-year-old girl through a scope. So he targeted her.
He chose her and targeted her. Like if that happened to one of my kids, holy crap, right? And just bear in mind, people, the scumbag, one of these scumbags is still alive, right? Okay, the dad is dead, but the son who's doing this crap is still alive. I'm not sure I can say what I feel this piece of crap deserves, right? You know what will most likely happen? He'll get life in prison because we don't have the death penalty. He deserves death. He deserves not. Death is too kind for him. He deserves a painful death. Something, because here's the thing. He believes death is a reward. He's going straight to heaven with all his virgins, right? Bring on the death.
Right. If you kill him, he dies as a martyr.
He gets life in prison where he gets 3 meals a day on the taxpayer's dime for the rest of his life, right? You know, the piece of crap that committed the Port Arthur shooting massacre that brought in all the gun laws in Australia and everything like that? That piece of crap, he is still alive in prison. And he killed something like over 30 people, murdered, right? And is living happy in prison.
Getting 3 hots in a cot for the rest of his life.
Like it feels like the consequences in our judiciary system are so light that there's no real deterrent to commit these crimes, right? Oh, life in prison, whoop-de-doo, right? And if I get the death penalty, like back in medieval times when people were really punished for doing some really heinous stuff, the people who got caught for committing those crimes, they were afraid of that punishment because they knew it was going to friggin' hurt. Back when there seemed to be some proper deterrent for these heinous actions. And I tell you what, if I was the father of that 10-year-old girl that got murdered by this scumbag who is still alive.
So which one's still alive, the kid or the dad?
The kid.
The kid.
He's like 24 something years old. Piece of crap.
Okay. Now you said there was some circumstance about why the guy that grabbed the gun didn't shoot him. What is it? Do you know it?
Sorry, what? We'll get to
the gun.
What about it?
I just want to know why he didn't freaking shoot the guy.
We'll talk about that in a bit. We'll get through the super chats, and I think that'll be the next topic. Is because look, the guy's a hero.
He would have been more of a hero if he pulled that trigger a couple of times into that guy's face.
Oh yeah, I agree, but there are other retarded legal ramifications that exist in this country. Okay, that might have influenced him not to pull the trigger. We'll talk about it in a sec, but I just want to close off on that point that the punishment for these crimes are not a proper deterrent. Okay, not a proper deterrent. You know, I don't know if this is the case, but I had family. I don't know if it's the case anymore, but like 20 years ago, I had some family members go to Syria, and they were saying that when they're in Syria, the shop owners, everything's like, no, we don't have to deal with crime. We don't have to deal with crime. And they're like, well, why do they have crime? Oh,
they chop their hands off.
Because they chop the hands off of thieves. They chop the hands off of thieves, and so no thief would dare risk thievery, stealing, because the consequence was like losing a hand, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm just saying, like, look at
I'll also point out, Christians in like Iraq and Syria freaking loved Assad. This whole media thing making Assad out to be some sort of a horrible mutant evil dude. I think that was all BBC BS. Because like I've talked to Christians who lived over there, like they're Coptic Christians. They left. But they're like, yeah, Assad made that place freaking awesome. And then we took him out. Or we let the terrorists take him out, which is that's probably another topic.
So
they also love Saddam Hussein, by the way.
Mansfield Time, Steele says Winston Marshall interviewed Raymond Ibrahim. Don't know the context there. But
I know that name, Raymond
Ibrahim. Insert funny handle for $20 says, I'm mad at what happened in Australia, let alone my city. Now the government is blaming this on gun laws and are blaming the right wing. Yeah, we saw the video. I showed the video. You watch, they'll create a new COVID type laws on the people they're elected to serve who they clearly don't care for. 100%. Like they're going to use this as an excuse to give them more power and control over the people and to disarm and take away the people's rights even more. And then they'll pay themselves more for it because they're giving themselves more work. Par for the course for this corrupt, tyrannical government that's in power, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to get better. Batmanic for $4.99 says Islam is the religion of peace. Peace of you over there, peace of you there. Communism and Islam excel at shedding an ocean of blood and misery.
Yep, they're the two worst ideologies that ever existed on this planet.
Mansfield Time for $5 says, how close is Australia following Nepal and Madagascar? What about England? Will they follow their example because they need to replace their parliament? That's what I said. Like, it's going to take so many more Australians fed up with what's going on to actually cause change in this country. And I don't know what it's going to take. And I don't want it to get worse. I don't want it, because it's just going to be a disaster. The Omega Studio for $2 says we need Pauline Power ASAP. She's always right. So Pauline Hanson, she's one of the few politicians that have been calling out Islamic extremism for ages. And she wants to ban the burqa, and to show the double standard, she actually puts on a burqa and goes into parliament wearing it. And it triggers so many people. So many people.
Have you seen? I've been seeing this on freaking X all the time. Just these images of like a nun or some 14th century woman wearing like a head covering, and they're like, "If this doesn't bother you, how come this bothers you?" And I just always put it there because Catholics won't behead you for not wearing a habit.
Yeah, and also consent. They choose willingly to go into it. They won't receive violent retribution from family members if they don't. I think there's quite some strong differences there. The Omega Studio for $2 says, Shad, did you see Isaac Butterfield's video on this? I did. Isaac's cool. I like the guy. Nathan Cassidy, 499 says, the irony of claiming it's right-wingers is his right as Muslims tend to be right-leaning by the nature of their beliefs, but they vote left because the left is protecting them.
Right. That's I said that before, Nathan.
Yep.
It's not just protection. It's because they want more Muslim immigration, and they know the left are the idiots that'll do it.
Yeah. Insert funny hand of $5 says, Shad, don't forget, this is the same government that had sitting members march on the HBR bridge under the ISIS, Iran, and Palestine flags.
What?
Batmaniac 2793 499 says, I would like to bring up KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov and the lectures he gave on communist subversion. Amit Sengupta has the best recording. Yeah, I've seen a number of clips from those interviews, and holy crap, it's scary how prescient and foreshadowing, like he predicts everything that's going on. Like years ago, he says, this is how it plays out. And that's exactly what we're seeing here.
Yep.
Can't pronounce the name for $2 says, Islam delenda est, woke communist delenda est. I don't know the context, and I'm bad at pronouncing things, so I'm sorry for my retardedness. Starry Night 17 $5 says, that guy sure looks like that, huh? I think someone needs to check his hard drives. That's something that I can't stand the blind eye people put towards some really, really problematic practices that are baked into Islamic culture, like pedophilia, child brides.
Yep.
Like there are videos of Islamic child brides that are 10 years old that are pregnant in Pakistan and things like that, right?
Yeah.
It is vile and disgusting in the extreme. And there are videos of people calling out Muslims in Western countries saying, do you support child marriages, right? And if they don't, they say, well, hang on. Is it true that Muhammad married a very young girl, right? And they know that they did. Like
Aisha was six when they got married and 9 when he consummated.
And that's the underlining foundation for the practice, and they can't condemn it.
Right.
And everyone just wants to turn a blind eye.
This kind of takes part of the whole thing. It's like when people are making the argument and they'll make a bunch of lists of like wars and stuff and say that Christian countries have, or Christian dominant countries have done or whatever. And then they'll say, how many of these did Muslims start? And I'm like, well, how many of these things that everyone else is listing are done not just in the name of Islam, but modeled after Muhammad, right? Doing what Muhammad dictated and commanded you to do, versus how many of these wars or whatever atrocities you're mentioning were things Jesus told you to do. How about 0 versus all of them?
There's a reason the Savior was called the Prince of Peace. And the whole message behind Christianity is peace on earth and goodwill towards men. You know, baked into the doctrine of Christianity is forgiving your enemy, turning the other cheek, and seeking peace. It's not pacifism, okay? It's not lay down and let your enemies destroy you, but it's to seek peace as the primary imperative at all turns. Okay. Mansfield Time, $5 says Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and China in order are the top donors to US colleges and universities. England is similar. Now look up news.
Of course. They're funding our destruction.
The Hornet for $7.99 says, if we only allowed gun licenses to citizens of at least third generation Aussies, it would minimize those certain people getting their hands on weapons. The guns that were used in the attack were licensed firearms that the father obtained. Okay. And so that's why they're going to attack gun licenses and gun rights in Australia as this retarded knee-jerk reaction that will achieve nothing. If he couldn't get his hand on legal firearms, he can just get them illegally. Illegal firearms are all around Australia, right?
You know what's funny, dude? I would bet hard money that if someone there was packing illegally and killed the guys that were committing the terrorist act, the news there and the government there would go after the guy with the gun, with the illegal gun.
They would bring in the same type of gun restrictions because their logic will be reason why there's illegal firearms.
No, but I'm saying they would arrest him for using illegal.
Well, that's why no, Mike, I'm not kidding. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Just like the Daniel Perry thing, right?
Yeah. And even if the attacker was using illegal firearms, they would think he got access to the illegal firearms because there are too many legal firearms that get stolen and then circulated on the black market. So they'll try and restrict it even more. Okay. Guns aren't the problem because if they can't get a hold of the guns, they will use cars. And what was that car attack? I think like how many people got killed in that, truck of peace incident? Like they're able to take out nearly as many people. Okay.
Right.
Guns aren't the problem. In actual fact, they needed guns to stop the bad guy. Even if he wasn't using guns and he was using a car, how are you going to stop a bad guy in a car with a good guy using a gun? You need to arm good people to stop bad people. Disarming them just makes them easy targets. Yep, yeah, I got that one. Black Dog Mercs for $20 says, hey, Shad, I'm the hardware store gun build guy. I created a channel to keep a record of progress on a final version. This one I made to test homemade powder in. Please check it out sometime. It's called Gun vs. Armor. All right.
I need some black powder and black stuff for my... I have a black powder gun. I've never even shot it.
Batmaniac for $4.99 says, from now on, we are either with God or with the devil. There is no middle ground. So Lucia of Fatima. Con Air, member for 2 months. Thanks, Con Air, for being a member. And he also donated memberships last stream. Appreciate you, dude. Hi, Shad and everyone. I'm currently at work and missed the first hour. I'm with the sentiment, praying y'all and for strength in these times. Thanks, mate. We appreciate your support. We do. Can't pronounce the name for $5 says, my savior was a Jewish carpenter. Therefore, an attack on Jews by Muslims is an attack on me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So there was a legend, a hero in this incident. Okay. A good Muslim. Good to see.
Well, a good person.
Sorry, what was that?
I said a good person. It's a bad Muslim.
A good Muslim is a Muslim that doesn't follow all the dictates.
Right. A good. You can be a good Muslim or a good person. Those are your options.
But look, legend, this guy. Okay. So there's a bit to discuss about this actually, because it exposes some other big problems in Australia. So he wrestles the guy. He actually snuck up behind that car, ran up to him, grabbed him, and wrestles the gun off of him. Trigger and killed him. Okay, but he doesn't. Well, I don't know the situation. I hope he does explain, like, was the gun loaded? Did he know how to operate it? Maybe there's no bullets. But there is another very real reality about this, which is the retarded, the criminal, the disgusting, like lack of self-defense laws in Australia. Okay, if he shot this guy, he could have actually been charged for murder in Australia. You know why? Because this scumbag, a judge could actually rule that this guy was no longer a threat. He is now disarmed. The other guy has a gun, and if that guy used the gun against him, that could be interpreted as being using excessive force that was unneeded against a defenseless person. Now, how retarded is that?
So freaking retarded.
It is beyond belief stupid. Because guess what happened? He wasn't like it was not a nullified threat.
Right.
Okay. Because the guy didn't shoot him, and then this scumbag walked up to his dad and picked up another gun.
That's over the 24-year-old?
This is the 24-year-old. This is the son.
Jeez, he's fat.
Oh, actually, no, it might be the dad. It might be the dad. I don't know. No, actually, no. I think it is the dad. I think it is the dad because the son was on the bridge more often. But he walked over and just grabbed another gun, and he had to be gunned down by police to stop him. So he was not a nullified threat. But the thing is, though, if this legend shot him dead right here and there would have been no evidence that he was still a threat. They would have say, he could have surrendered. You had him dead to rights, and then you just murdered him using excessive force. That's how retarded our country is. Okay, and so the sad and disgusting reality is that from a legal perspective, this guy might have actually done the correct thing, which is unbelievably stupid. Like, just the whole situation is infuriating, because the moral thing is to put a bullet in this guy's head and end him there and end the threat completely. Mm-hmm. Let alone just the justice he deserved.
I'm kind of curious, how many more people did he kill after this? Because he ran back to his father and got another gun.
Yep.
And kept shooting people.
Yep. Exactly.
And
so this
guy, and him, and he's one of the guys that got shot.
This guy gets shot 2 times after this.
Right.
Now, look, he might have been trying to fire then. He might have been trying to fire because guess what? Is it shocking that most Australians don't know how to operate firearms?
Right. No, this guy was a cop. I think that's what his parents said, right?
I'm not like he helped or worked with law enforcement in the past or something like that. But each firearm is different. This is a long arm. It's a bolt action, and it only needed a pull.
Yeah. Also, there's one thing. If you rewind this a little bit, like to right before he got to the guy, there's like one almost guaranteed way, because like he gets up and he starts wrestling. That guy could have overpowered him, right? Yes, but if you're coming up behind somebody like that in a situation like that, the easiest thing to do is grab him by the back of whatever he's wearing, or right at his neck, and just throw him to the ground, and he'll freaking crack his head on the concrete. Because you have no control. If you get pulled, it's like being clotheslined.
Heck, if he had anything, if he had a club or a rock and just smacked that guy as hard as he could in the back of the head and dropped him right then, that would have been a good option to have done as well. But I've got the video where he is like sneaking up, right?
Oldie, go on. I can see your chat.
Sorry, what?
Someone said I can't post anything in the chat. I'm like, I see your post.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Seemingly you can. Look, this video is blurry, but this is the legend. This is like he's right close, sneaking up, and then like legend. Again, if he had a weapon of some kind, even a rock, right? And just smack in the back of the head. But he's doing, look, I'm not judging the guy. He's doing what he could in that situation. Absolutely. But the depressing reality, as I mentioned, because it almost looks like he's trying to pull the trigger there. It almost looks like he's actually trying to shoot him. And then the guy's getting up because maybe he's saying, "Don't move, don't I got you dead to rights, right?"
Yeah.
And then the guy gets up to try and run away, and then that could be him trying to pull the trigger, and it's not working. For some,
I wish we knew what they were saying to each other.
Yeah. And look at this piece of crap just walking away, and maybe
he's walking away like he knows he's not going to get shot.
Yeah. Maybe like he was trying to shoot and he didn't know how to operate it. It wasn't working. Because he then he tries to chase the guy down. And I think that's him signaling to police that I'm not a threat. Don't shoot me because I'm holding a gun. Because I've heard a report. This one hasn't been confirmed, that another guy went over and picked up one of the other guns. And then the police started shooting at him. Because in this chaos, all they know is gunman. And they rock up and they see a guy with a gun.
Well, I don't know. If sirens are coming in, this is probably a good half an hour into this thing, so they should have had a little more information than just.
Mec est hyper courageux.
And so this is him again, I think.
What's he throwing at him?
I don't know. It looks like the same guy, but is he wearing a hat there?
Yeah, he's not wearing a hat there, but no.
But this guy's wearing a hat. And so is this a different person? I don't know.
Oh, let's go back and see the other guy's pants.
Dark pants.
Those are blue.
But look, we're not seeing anyone up here behind him.
I think somebody ran in behind him.
Because look, at this guy comes in. Don't know what he does. Then they start to get shot at, I think, by the sun. This piece of crap on the bridge that's now trying to throw down cover fire for his scumbag.
Oh gosh, I didn't see this part.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is the guy on the bridge. Right. This is where they eventually got shot down and stopped, but they take their stand on this bridge here and they're taking cover because the police eventually do come and start to return fire. And all right, no, there's two of them. So there's the guy with the hat and there's the guy that wrestled the gun. And so now they're taking cover behind the tree and the legend has been shot. And the guy with the hat is holding his hand like he's injured.
He's been shot, yeah.
And so very likely he's been shot as well. But so two guys, this guy with the hat, hero as well.
Yeah.
Hero as well, running in, trying to do something, trying to do anything while getting shot at. And there we have a police officer. Looks to be a female police officer. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't cover, right? And when gunfire's around, duck for cover, right? But when you have unarmed citizens running into bullet fire to stop insane terrorists,
yeah,
right?
that's the cop's job.
When a cop is looking like they're ducking for cover and not doing anything, that's a friggin' bad look, Australian police. Here is the thing, though, right?
Women shouldn't be police.
I don't actually blame the female police officers for ducking for cover because I don't think they should have been forced into that situation. It's not their job to protect and stop bad guys. That's the job of men. Okay, it's the job what men should be doing. And I'm not saying men can't be cowardly and drop the ball and not do the right thing. Sounds like there were police officers that have been shot throughout this course, and I don't know what she did. Or maybe she had returned fire already and ran out of ammo, right? And then what? And I don't know the context. Okay, so I don't want to jump to any harsh judgments here. All I'm saying is that when you see unarmed citizens tackling the gunman and police officers hiding, it's not a good look. I don't know why. There could be justified reasons for why she's there and not engaging the terrorists.
Now, do all women cops look like that, or are those meter maids? Because if they're meter maids, that's a different story.
Yeah, I don't know. I do not know.
Because they look like meter maids, but I don't know what I don't know what cops look like in Australia.
But unfortunately, when it comes to trying to address violent criminals and subdue violent criminals, women are less, equipped to be able to do that job. Okay, that's the unfortunate reality of it. There's a reason why men have the role of being protectors. Okay. And so the fact that we're in a society where we encourage women into these roles, and I don't know if it's like women wanting to do it or like it's a good career path and they're choosing that and anything like that. But I do think something has gone wrong in society when we rely on, there are so many other, you know, life choices, life paths that I think this woman could have chosen that would have given more happiness anyway. It's just,
I just don't think running into the face of danger is a particularly feminine trait. I mean, men will do that because we'll do it because we're stupid.
There's so many, like the science is already confirmed about this, about how women respond to both danger and pain versus how men respond. Men actually have literally an inbuilt thing that pain can trigger adrenaline in men. Okay. Which gets them amped and ready to combat and fight, where women don't have that response. Okay. They have seen, like, and I'm not saying all women, but this is reality, most women in combat situations, like combat roles in the army, right? There was this case where even soldiers that had to drive trucks under fire through, you know, enemy zones, right? Okay, that the women who were given the task of the role, and this is just the results of what happened. This isn't me trying to say I was, you know, stack the things against. No, this is just what happened. Most of the women who were doing the driving had mental breakdowns and froze and couldn't do it.
Let me contrast this, because I was just listening to an audiobook about the Pacific Theater. When the American troops landed on one of the Japanese islands to take it over, it was like super heavily fortified, like freaking. They had boats where like there was like 30 people on the boat and only 6 of them survived. This kind of a level of thing. But once they took over the beachfront, there was a sniper out, and he was just a little too far to be accurate. And so they would, they were like, they'd already taken the beach, but they were being sniped at, and they were being hit, but they were being hit so rarely that they just ignored the sniper, and they would just hear bullets like whizzing by them and just go on with their thing and like, whatever. It's like mosquitoes are just flying because they can ignore that. You get to a certain point, you're like, if it happens, it happens. Like, 80% of my friends are already dead, whatever. And it's like, you cope by like, ignoring the danger,
It actually goes to the fundamental way that most men deal with stress and emotions versus how most women deal with stress and emotions. Men and women are well, there we go. I'm going to get to that. This is confirmed psychology for like ages now. Okay. The idea that women are more emotional is actually incorrect. Men are as emotional as women. We just process emotion differently. Like men actually get impacted by emotional breaks in relationships. Women deal with breakups worse than men if the relationship had lasted for a short time, where men deal with breakups in relationships worse than women if it's a long-term relationship. And men, that hits them hard. That can send them into a spiral. But one of the most common, more common ways men deal with emotion is internalizing it. Like Mike said, locking in, right? Or lock it down, where we internalize and oftentimes either get quiet or get angry, and we need to vent our anger, okay? Where women externalize emotion, women express emotion, okay? And that has very, very positive, it makes women more naturally empathetic to understand emotional cues when they see in other people and show empathy towards other people. That's why they're really good with children and nurturing children and making children feel loved, because of this natural empathetic nature and externalizing ability women have with emotion, right?
What do you like, Shad? Because like when I get like really mad, I get really quiet.
Yeah. I'll express a little bit perhaps I'll finish my thought, right? Is that this natural way that how men and women deal with emotion have benefits and detriments in different situations, right? And women externalizing emotion naturally can be very detrimental in violent situations where you're under fire, okay, you're in combat and stuff, because it can cause mental breakdowns. And there's the whole kind of trope of the frantic, women breakdown and stuff, right? The way that men, and I'm not saying all women, all men, these are generalities, but they are proven generalities, okay? That most men, when they deal with emotion, it can trigger adrenaline, or they can internalize, which enables them to continue a given task under insane emotional, stress at times. And on the battlefield, in insane emotional danger and fear for your life and death and blood and seeing violence in front of your face. On average, it enables men to continue operating, right, in the tasks that they are given in those situations. And in practice, when women have been thrown into those situations, most women have a lot of trouble dealing with it. Some women can. And if a woman can prove that she can, all power to her. Like meritocracy, if you can do the job as well as anyone else, you're allowed to do the job, prove yourself, but don't lower the standards to try and cast a broader net. Okay. And the proven reality is that men handle warfare and battle better than women, including law enforcement. Hey, John, how are you?
I made it.
You made it, man.
Give me a second. I don't know if you can hear an echo or not. I'm trying to get my AirPods to hook up now. Come on. You were just connected.
So, Bob Lee, go on. Sorry, it's not us doing it. I don't know what's blocking your chats.
There we go.
YouTube has auto filters.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. I actually didn't know that. I've been listening as I was driving, trying to rush to get back here, and I know I'm here on the tail end, but it's the thought that counts. That's part of the Christmas season.
We got like 50 minutes left. So.
Well, I'm here for it. I'm here for all 15 minutes.
Yeah. Is there anything that you wanted to mention specifically while you're here and you're joining us?
I mean, I was as shocked as you were. I don't know what I can say that hasn't already been said this evening, but I will say the gentleman that tackled the one gunman and wrestled the gun away from him. You know how many guys, like, that's like a perpetual power fantasy in their head.
Yep.
And
I had that power fantasy when I was in freaking 5th grade, dude.
Right, like, and I was just amazed. I was amazed that he was able to do that, but I was also like, he got a little flack from people for not, blowing the guy away in Minecraft. But at the same time, I was thinking in my head, if he had and did it on camera, I don't doubt that the government might have tried to arrest him for it.
That's what I said. Like, because it would have looked like he shot a defenseless and now incapacitated, criminal.
Mass murderer.
That he could have been charged for murder because they would have claimed that he was no longer a threat, even though the opposite happened, and it would prove that he still was, because he just walked off and grabbed another gun from his son.
But literally no jury on planet Earth, not even in Australia, would have convicted him for it.
I
don't know. There's a bit of a war against the right, a lot of human rights, and the right to self-defense, especially in some European countries, seems to be something that they are working very, very hard to dismantle in people's brains, even so far as saying, some courts and judges saying, you don't have if someone enters your home, you don't have a right to blow them away in Minecraft. You have a duty to retreat. It's my home. It's like Did
you see the speech from that the sheriff in Florida where he gave that speech? He's like,
"Oh yes, I did. Yeah. Oh yes, I did."
Thank God, what we're talking about, Shad?
Thank God for Castle Doctrine here and the sovereignty of some of our states who do not share that mentality of you don't have a right to defend yourself. I feel that there's so many rights that need to never be done away with, and that is one of them.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen it, Shad. There's a sheriff in like a Florida county, and it was before some sort of a political thing where he knew that there was going to be like big protests and stuff, and he's like, "We just want to let you know, if you come to somebody's house and you try to do a thing, they have not only every right, but I encourage them to shoot you dead."
Yep. Yeah, and guess we don't have that in Australia. There's some based politicians that have been pushing for castle doctrine to be actually put in place, so Australians have a right to at least defend themselves in their own homes. But we still have issues with defending ourselves in the public, right? But at the very least, could we at least have that? And guess what? It got voted down and denied by our left-wing retarded governments in power. They don't want Australians to defend themselves, because if Australians can defend themselves against criminals, they can defend themselves against tyrannical governments, and they don't want that. They want to be able to continue to oppress the people. So when another COVID happens or anything like that, where the government wants to control and just absolutely dictate whatever the hell they want the power to enable that, right? It's all this friggin' corrupt agenda to empower the government and suppress the people and make the people just the lemmings, taxpayers, idiots that will continue to pay their wage and increasing wages for these politicians, mind you, while they continue to go on and oppress the people. It's disgusting. But there is some very few based politicians in the world, and one of them is in Australia is Pauline Hanson. And Rhino sent me this. Listen to her.
You keep voting for these bastards that actually don't have pride in our country and our Australian flag, then be prepared to get what we're going to get. And we've seen it now with the division that is happening, the hatred that we see on the streets, the escalating crime, and that's only going to escalate.
By the way, yeah, crime just generally is going up everywhere. And a lot of it is like youth crime, right? And it seems to be like not all of it, but a chunk of it imported. And it's the machete crime that they've talked about in Australia and all that stuff. And of course, the retarded, government approach to all this machete crime. It's to disarm law-abiding citizens. Yeah, hand in your machetes. No criminal is going to freaking do that. You think these gun laws are going to cause extremist Islamic terrorists to think, yeah, I'll hand in my guns now, you idiots.
Even further unless we take a stand on this and make sure you know who you vote for next time. And if you look at what's happening in England, Birmingham, 30% of Muslims there, and they're taking over the councils. You've got, Sharia law courts. They're losing their identity, their culture in England, and the same damn thing is going to happen.
And good on her calling out the Sharia law courts. She's like Pauline Hanson has been raising her voice and warning about the problems of extremist Islamic, ideology, right? And she gets lambasted by the mainstream politicians constantly as a racist and all this stuff, when she's one of the very few, not the only one, but she's one of the very few actually saying some common sense stuff.
Here. It is absolute basket case of what's happening out there, and no wonder the Australian people are so angry. But I'll keep fighting about the mass migration. It is about mass immigration that's happening here, and it's destroying our standard of living, way of life, and our access to services that every Australian has a right to. But the government brings them in purely for the vote, and the fools out there keep voting for them. You're going to suffer. You will suffer.
Finally, Dolores Umbridge uses the power of Karen for good.
No, we have a good female politician here. Like, if everyone thinks like the right ways, I would vote for Pauline and any other base politician. Gender doesn't matter. I vote for the politician that represents the right views. Doesn't matter about what's between their legs. People who only vote on immutable characteristics, it's dumb. No, you vote for the person that is going to do the right job. And their gender doesn't matter. But the problem is, I don't know how long it's going to take for Australians to wake up. Okay, so she represents One Nation. I've talked about One Nation, right? She's the leader of One Nation. I don't think they're going to get in power for at least like 10 years. It has to get so much worse before people wake up because of how
that was something at Shad that I was thinking about on the drive home, is that we have seen this kind of dissent and political divide that's happening right now in the European countries and Australia, where in Canada, where they're embracing much more of a leftist bent to their politics, and you kind of have to wonder, how is this going to be creating a massive pendulum swing back in the other direction at some point down the road? Because and that is usually the way of things, but it's usually a gentle back and forth in our politics. However, when it swung with Obama, it swung back twice as hard with Trump. And I kind of wonder if the European and Australian nations will be doing that at some point in the future. You have people just fed up with the way things have been run that end up going the other way in a very much more extreme manner, just on the other side of it.
That's the unfortunate problem. Like, I think the pendulum will swing and it'll be an overcorrection and it'll go too far on the opposite side because they push people that far that when people like eventually do wake up, it radicalizes them in the opposite direction. And oftentimes it's out of spite and vindictiveness for what has been like, what is being done to good, like intended Australians is criminal. Like it is disgusting what's being done here and across the world, right? And so people have legitimate grievances that they are being told that they're racist or bigoted for having. Okay. They just constantly told, no, you should allow the government to step on you harder and say thank you for it. And if you don't, you're a bigot, right? The average normal Aussie bloke, right? Constantly being told that they're problematic, they're bigoted, they're sexist for just, being a guy, right? You're racist if you're white, and all white people are racist. We've heard that slogans.
And look at the effect that that's having on younger adults.
It's radicalizing.
It's creating Nick Fuentes's all over the place. Yes. Who are just like, well, I'm racist no matter what. So whatever, I'm gonna embrace it. Hey, Adler was a pretty cool guy, says Nick Fuentes. That kind of a thing. Don't clip that from me, okay? I don't believe that.
Yeah, I've warned about that for years. I've said if you keep vilifying, young men and people in general, you're pushing them to become the very thing that you're claiming they are. I've warned about that for years. But all I can do is raise, my voice. I can only do what I can do. And I would encourage people to not go in the opposite extreme. Okay, push back.
Yes. But as a matter of fact, it is. Someone's asking if this was a dice tower. It is. That's a 1.
Yeah. The left are creating the Andrew Tates and the Nick Fuenteses. That's what they're doing. All right, and I hate Tate and Nick. I don't know enough to make a informed judgment on him. All right, I've heard the snippets and seen the snippets and everything, things thrown out and they could be thrown out of context. It seems like I disagree with him on a lot, but at the same time, I actually have on my watch later the interview that Crowder does with Fuentes, where he actually
I watched part of that.
Yeah, where he actually tries to break down
gut reaction feeling that guy's a freaking fed. I don't know why.
And so I intend to all right, I'm going to try and make an informed judgment and find out. But I just don't know enough on surface. There's some really weird things with Nick Fuentes that I'm like, but they're pushing people in the extreme opposite direction. I've looked into Tate enough to know that guy is a low life piece of crap.
Oh yeah.
He's not the example, but they recognized an area, a deficit area, and prop themselves up to be able to kind of fill that hole, so to speak. And it's I don't like it because it's the wrong kind. They're the wrong kind of examples for our beliefs, just as men in general, that you kind of want up there. But that's unfortunately a lot online these days. Is the wrong people get put up there and propped up as heroes of movements, and then they either let it go to their head or they got a lot of skeletons in their closet. There's just it's hard to find someone that's genuine and that can get their voice that loud, because they got a lot of attention being cancelable, so to speak, being the kind of attention grabbers that work best on social media. They knew how to make that work to their example. Like Tate used to put out stupid stuff like only nerds read books. If you've ever read a book, you've never gotten laid. I own a Bugatti and I've never read a book in my life. That kind of stupid stuff. That was when he started catching attention, and then turns around like a week later, hey, buy my comic book. But his fans are immune to that kind of two-faced nonsense.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you can only control what you do. And so I do what I can and then focus on my family and where where Australia's projected going, like I said, I'm focusing on trying to build security and safety for my family and weather the storm while also raising my voice and doing what I can. And that's all I think that's all anyone can really try and do at the end of the day. But it doesn't mean it's not going to suck while we see what unfolds in the world. And it's getting so bad. And it's heartbreaking to see. Like, I love Australia. Australia's been such a blessed country for so long, and we have people in power that are actively making, real world actions to ruin everything. Like, they are screwing and destroying this country, and everything they're doing is set to make it worse. Like, we can see the problems, and they are pretending it doesn't exist and pushing the exact opposite direction, and it's infuriating. We'll catch some of these last super chats and start to wrap up, because we have reached the time. And so the Grand Duchy for 9.9 says, "Hail Shad, I mentioned on Tuesday Night's Main Events that you introduced me to FNT and them, but then I felt bad for rarely catching Culture Crusade live, so I'm catching you live now."
Hey-o.
Legend. Thank you, dude. Good to have you. And Clinic 38 $5 says, "Cops did nothing in Uvalde, Texas."
Uvalde.
Yep. In the US, the cops have no obligation to help. Look up Caligula versus Strom. Parkland cop was cleared too. I mean, we should have a right to protect ourselves, to be armed and have the tools to protect ourselves, right? If a good person with a gun, if there was a good person with a gun on site where that happened, they could have ended that threat or had the possibility to end it way sooner than what it did. And by the way, an armed good guy almost ended it, but unfortunately things happened where it wasn't able to do that. Because good people are present who will try and stop bad things from happening. But if you disarm them, you're robbing them of the tools they need to actually do it. It's unbelievable. Samuel Larriton for $49.99. Big super chat. Thanks, man. Recognize that parent picture. Wheel of Time. OG Wheel of Time. The state pushes gun control for power while veiling it in virtue. Gun confiscation, I think, prefaced the worst part of the 20th century. Did homicide and overall crime actually go down? If not, the only thing that changed was the state gained more control. 100%. You are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Yeah, it's all about control and robbing the citizens of the ability to protect themselves and also resist tyrannical governments, which I find
that by itself is bad enough. But when you combine that with the soft on crime tactics that they've been implementing in a lot of the U.S. cities, which the U.S. cities and the urban centers are much more Democrat and leftist controlled, they're negatively, inversely impacted, because then you have an increase in crime, because people that know that there's not going to be any consequences to their action are going to commit them more. This is simple to us, but they want to try and make it an issue that it is not, in a lot of cases, race-based. Mm-hmm. And that it goes back to that mentality of the bleeding heart leftists. Like, they feel like if you just hug someone enough, if you just give them enough money, if you just pat them on the back and give them government programs and don't throw them in jail, that they won't come out worse. But the fact of the matter is, there are just some people who you cannot fix. There are some people that are low impulse. They have no self-control, and they feel entitled to do whatever they want without consequence. And when you do that and then take away the right of people to defend themselves, that is a dangerous combination. That is creating a powder keg. And you got to wonder if it's on purpose,
of course,
or if it's just they really don't understand the consequences of their actions.
Chat, you're absolutely right. When you take away people's guns, gun violence decreases, but knife crime skyrockets, and people are still getting killed. The scum just use different weapons, or even the same illegal weapons. Yeah. The criminals don't hand in their weapons, and gun crime is still very present in Australia. Look what happened a couple of days ago. And they might blame it. Oh, that's no. Like, criminals will get access to firearms, right? Like, they get imported illegally into Australia regularly enough, okay? There's a lot of gang crime that is fueled by gun violence. The gun control, it doesn't do a thing to stop the crime, okay? Yeah, because that's just trying to blame the tool, not the actual underlying issue. And that's exactly, like, I can't believe how blatant it is, yet that's exactly what our government is doing. Oh, our reaction, we're going to come down really hard with, new gun laws. It's not going to solve a thing. They're useless, utterly useless. And, look, I'm sorry for the depressing nature of the stream. It's just what it is. It's absolutely tragic what happens. My heart breaks for the victims of what's going on. And unfortunately, without things actually changing, without addressing underlying issues, it's going to get worse. So everyone look after yourselves. Okay, that's all I can encourage. And batten down the hatches, because we need to ride out the storm. That's where things are going. That's kind of like my final thoughts on the matter. Gentlemen, was there anything that you guys are wanting to say as we sign off?
Merry Christmas.
Try to have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, I've got just to the, not that I want to shill stuff, but if you want to go to my site, MikeSMillerArt.com, I've got some random stuff on there that some people might be interested in. So that's it.
John, anything you wanted to mention?
Hug your loved ones close, and protect yourself however you can. When you go out in public, head on a swivel. I know I am. I've got a wife and 3 kids, and we go out in public. I am
more now than ever.
I'm not on my phone in public.
Yeah, like more now than ever. I literally told my wife that like whenever we go out now, we have to be aware that like something bad could happen. That that you can't guarantee safety in any real public gathering at all these days. So I get what I literally had the conversation with my wife. So everyone look after yourselves. Thank you for joining us. We'll see what happens and just continue trying to fight the good fight. And so we will see you later. And as always, stay on watch.